Hello, my name is Juana Gallegos, and today I will be talking about the reading reflections for week 4. The first chapter was chapter 6, and it's called Cross-Cutting Instruction Approaches. In this chapter, it focuses on creating appropriate education that involves making progress and persevering for the students to make that progress. A specific thing that really focuses on making that progress and perseverance is focusing on the individualization of the student's education. And in order to do that, it presents the concept of high leverage practices. And high leverage practices is basically creating student appropriate education by evaluating and using assessment data to understand students' learning and needs. And in order to maintain this and accomplish this, it presents 3 very important factors. The first one is how to deliver these high leverage practices, and it focuses on the effect of the instruction and making sure the occurrence that they are frequently done various times, and that it is research based, and that it is usable across content and other settings. Another important factor within the high leverage practices is that it incorporates 4 domains, and that is collaboration, assessment, social emotional behavior, and instruction. And it also provides within another factor that the Council for Exceptional Children develops materials and training to support educators. And by this, it basically provides training to support educators to stay up to date on research-based practices. Another feature of this chapter is the instructional practice for students with disabilities. And in this chapter, I learned about the explicit instruction and embedded instruction. Within these 2 instructions, they are both research-based practices. And with explicit instruction, it basically talks about making clear to students what they will learn and the intended outcome. And by doing this, the teachers must make sure to model the skill, to do a step-by-step instruction, and to have a clear instruction. Following this, the embedded instruction focuses on embedding additional opportunities for learning for students with exceptionalities with general ed. And by achieving this, teachers will insert additional learning opportunities, and they will also target the student goal. Following this, the instructional strategies, the how and why this is important. In the chapter, it talks about 2 important aspects. The first one is the person-environment fit model, where it's important to understand and instruct the students. And within generalization, it talks about taking what was learned into another setting. So I think that the generalization is very important because that will make sure that the student did understand the concept and that they are able to use it in other parts of their lives. And then within the experiences, this chapter goes over co-teaching approaches. And one of those approaches is the one teach, one assist. The other is station teaching, and the other is one teach, one observe. I have observed these 3 strategies being done in my class where I work at, but I believe that the most effective are from this chapter are these 3. I think that working together but also having a space to assist the children is very important, and I think that is also very effective. Following this, Chapter 1, Creating and Adapting Friendly Systems and Thinking Classroom. In this chapter, a quote that stood out for me states, "It takes a collaborative effort to ensure each student's learning success. Educator must identify the barriers and strategize the element of a lesson to overcome those obstacles." So the key important thing of this chapter that stood out for me is that how to create a learning environment for the students, and how to make sure that those students are ensured their student comprehension. Part of this chapter talks about systems of thinking, and within systems of thinking, it's basically how educators are responsible for detecting the patterns and the recurrences of how they are learning, and making sure that they are strengthening the structures of the classroom. By using system of thinking, teachers will see the big picture and how to make decisions that will benefit the student. And by incorporating these benefits, teachers must understand and incorporate what is the triangle of support and the universal design of learning. Oh, sorry, I did not take that off. Basically, within these two approaches, the teachers will identify the classroom needs, and then teachers will use specific elements within the lessons, and this will ensure the student comprehension. The first one, triangle of support, basically talks about providing the supports within personal support, curriculum accommodations and modifications, instructional and assistive technology. With personal supports, students are given supports within either the teacher, paraprofessional, and even the parents. And within an example with instructional and assistive technology, an example would be a picture exchange communication system. Another element for system of thinking would be the UDL. And as we have reviewed in the class, UDLs are basically frameworks to improve and optimize teaching and learning to meet students' needs. And within my experiences that I could relate with this chapter was understanding key concepts that help create system of thinking, and that consists of relationship, communication, responsiveness, and sustainability. With relationships, it is very important to nurture positive relationships with the student, and that way the student will be feel safe with the teacher. I have seen experiences where parents have said that it is important for them to have a positive relationship with the teacher and with paraprofessionals, because that will make them feel more secure and that their students are being cared for. With communication, it basically consists of content that relates with the student's lives, and that the teacher presents content that's personal examples to the student. With responsiveness, it consists of purposeful planning, and with sustainability, it basically builds a relationship, a communication, and the responsiveness to establish the consistency to create growth. And with sustainability, what I really liked about learning is that it includes consistent, equitable, and support, and that creates sustainability. So all these approaches will help teachers and parents and students create that nurturing positive relationship. It will create a content that relates to student lives, purposeful planning, and it will also create support that is consistent and equitable. And finally, with this chapter, I learned more about the universal design for learning, how it includes 7 principles that I think are very important to make sure that the students are given the opportunity to optimize their learning, and the teacher's teaching. So part of those 7 principles are equitable use, flexibility, simple and intuitive, perceptible information, low physical effort, and size and space for approach and use. And overall, these are very important things that I learned in these 2 chapters, and thank you so much for listening.